This is the New York Sports Machine on WICR.
Hello and welcome everybody to Sports Talk Today with KNA. Anthony Carlo, Ken Reichman joining you today, catching you up on all your latest sports news.
Sean leaves, Momo leaves, Glove leaves. Everyone who leaves, it's Tim. There's a reason every year they're at the top in the country of offense, and it's Tim Kluse.
And that right there, Ken, is our good old buddy of Manhattan, Coach Steve Masiello. And that quote, actually, that soundbite we just played for you was Coach Steve Masiello's post-game press conference from, I believe, when the Gales had defeated the Jaspers.
Which time?
At Dratty Gymnasium in Manhattan, Manhattan. So, obviously, which time?
Yeah.
I'm glad you just said that, Ken, because the Iona Gales were victorious over the Manhattan Jaspers twice during the regular season, once at home, once away, and yet they fall in the championship.
And you know what? And it's just another example of why tournaments these days are obsolete. But then you see, I don't remember I think it might have been the Big Ten football season when they didn't have the championship, and then two teams who could have been vying for the 3 and 4 spots in the BCS championship playoff pool, right? I believe TCU and Baylor. No, I'm making that up. Baylor was an option, but it was TCU. Why am I blanking?
I'm blanking as well. Yeah.
But remember, they didn't have the championship game.
I remember
so
this.
So the conference didn't have a championship, so they didn't know who to pick. Well,
that's what happens, because in order to get a bid into the dance,
right,
especially with college basketball, you need to have that automatic bid.
Right.
And the way you get that automatic bid is by winning your conference championship.
Right. But here's the question. You play 20 regular season games.
That's
in
true.
the conference. If you're going to play 20, I'm pretty sure you know who's the winner. If you're going to play 10, it's a different story. 10 in a tournament makes sense. 20 in a tournament, that's silly. It's silly. Now, yes, I'm a little salty. Don't get me wrong. I'm a salty dog right now, because if we won, I wouldn't care about the tournament. Fair, right?
Right.
Wearing my maroon and gold right
You'd
now.
You'd be praising the tournament.
I'd be praising the tournament. Go tournament. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's a little silly when you think about tournament-style play.
Well, this is my gripe, okay? The fact that every team in the MAC makes the tournament, that is a big problem with me. If there's a problem on my behalf at all with this whole situation, it's the fact that you have teams like St. Peter's. Now, I know you're going to tell me St. Peter's
I don't care.
is a thorn in the side of the Gales.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But the fact is, they were bad.
Yeah, they're an awful team.
They didn't have a good season. So why are they advancing to the tournament, or in other sports, what would be better known as the playoffs?
You're right.
What is this about playoffs?
It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. You're right.
You know,
and then what you do, you give teams a bye, and then you make them play 3 days straight.
Right.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, leading up to a championship game Monday at 9 p.m.
The only teams that should have made the tournament here,
top four. It should have been 2 games.
Yeah, and I know that goes against every other sort of playoff format.
And it also shouldn't have been in Albany.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been in Albany either, because Siena obviously plays their home games there.
What it should be, if you're going to do, I'm sorry to cut you off, but if you're going to do a tournament, you do the top 4, top 6. Make it the top 6.
Yeah, I was going to say top 4 to 6.
Let's make it the top 6. Top 6 teams in the conference at the number 1 seeds gym. Play 3 games and
That's
call it a day.
Hey, listen, I agree with you. Top 4 to 6, because if you get 6 teams in there, what you're doing is you're keeping your traditional format where 2 teams have to play each other in maybe like a divisional, which would be considered the quarterfinal.
It's the football playoffs.
Right. You have your quarterfinal, and then you have your semifinal, and then your championship. If there's 6 teams, that means 2, 4, 6 are all playing each other, right? You got 2. You have your top seed playing the worst team to make it. Then you have your second place team
2, 5, 3, 4.
2, 5, 3, 4, and then you carry out normally. The fact that Manhattan had to go through
a 7 seed, an 11 seed, and a 7 seed.
Okay, an 11 seed and a 7 seed is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Manhattan, I'm sorry, they're not that good, and
they're not.
Everybody's gonna laugh and say, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're an Iona Gale. You're broadcasting out of Iona College."
And you know what? They get to do that.
Yeah, I know they're going to say, of course you say Manhattan is no good because you're jealous. But the fact is, if I'm even an unbiased sports fan right now, and I'm giving, not sports fan, sports analyst right now, and I'm giving you the truth, just like most of the sports writers did, they said Iona was going to win.
Yeah, and they should have.
They should have won.
And let's not get it. Let's not have anybody not understand where we're coming from here. The Gales lost. They lost the game.
They lost 79 to 69.
There's no controversy. There's no we should have won the game. We didn't play well enough to win the game. We didn't shoot well enough to win the game. We didn't play defense well enough to win the game. We lost the game. And all the credit in the world to Manhattan for beating that, for beating the better team. Good for Manhattan. Good job. But the question remains, should that end a season in which the Gales could have competed, really could have competed with a 3 or 4 seed in the first round of the dance?
And my response to that is Manhattan's going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
And Iona, in my opinion, would have given a better battle.
Run. It would have given a run. They would have lost. Let's not go crazy.
And I have to piggyback what you said about Manhattan giving them the credit. Because, look, hands down, you have to say, wow.
Yeah.
Manhattan came into this game. They had already lost twice to the Gales in the regular season. They came into this game and they bared down.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it.
100%.
They 100% proved that the underdog can win and that they were honestly a good team.
Right.
Okay?
And this is nothing against Manhattan here. I mean, granted, we're not fond of the Jaspers, but they won.
They won.
And our saltiness is not because of that. It's not because Manhattan won. If we had lost to Ryder, it would have been the same thing. You know? It's just the fact that a 17-3 in-conference team is not the MAC champion for some reason.
Right. Yeah.
19-4.
19-4.
19-4.
Manhattan was 19-13 overall, and in the conference.
Oh, geez.
In the conference, I
want to say 14-6.
It was something 13-7. 13-7. Yes. So when you're looking at this and looking in that game, what happened is Manhattan did everything right. Okay, they didn't make any mistakes. First of all, they suffocated Iona offensively.
Perimeter. Oh, yeah.
On the perimeter, they knew they're not dumb. I mean, if me and you went into this game and had to come up with a game plan, obviously we're going to stop Iona from shooting the 3.
Right.
They wanted to force them to take 2s. Another interesting thing they did was Coach Masiello disclosed this in the postgame, that his player, Rashawn Storrs, came up with a game plan to play one-on-one single coverage, and with Lowry especially, fan him out and have Pankey basically on Lowry the whole night.
Yeah, he played a heck of a game, huh?
Pankey MVP, tournament MVP. Listen, Manhattan did everything right.
Yeah.
They played the tough.
And especially when their fifth option is going to hit all his shots. I think 4 for 4 from 3.
Talking about Cates, right?
Yeah, Cates 4 for 4 from 3.
Big four big trifectas.
And shot 11 of them all season.
It's a case, Ken, where when we talk
which is one of those things.
We talk about the Yankees and the Mets. We talk about if the Yankees want to make the playoffs, everything has to go right. It's one of those things.
It's one of those where Wilmer Flores hits 35 home runs.
Donovan Cates comes up with 4 triples. I mean, that's the way it went.
And when you're watching it as a fan or as a reporter, it was just kind of, you never had a good feeling about it.
You didn't.
From start to finish, as an Iona fan or an Iona reporter, or even just a regular fan or regular reporter, you were sitting there and going, oh boy.
It was an uphill battle.
Yeah,
the whole
and
time.
it shouldn't have been.
It shouldn't have been.
And that's the problem. And I don't know where the disconnect is on this Iona team. I don't know what happened. But, I mean, it's... Okay, sorry, I had a brain thing right
regroup.
there. They weren't connecting there. But when you talk about numbers, right, and people always talk about stats and analytics and how stupid they are and how they don't measure the intensity or the momentum of the game and the teams that are playing, true. But look at the numbers. The day before, the Gales set record-setting three-point shooting, right?
19 of them.
19 of them. Isaiah Williams with a new single-game record at 9.
9. They shot
what, over 50% from beyond the arc. It was just incredible.
It
was incredible.
Scary about that? In that game, Monmouth was shooting
62% at the half.
And 50 from 3.
Yeah.
And they went to the half trailing.
Down 12. So think about those numbers, right? And think about the law of averages, just the one law. It's a stupid law, but we got to follow it because that's how things go. So when you look at it, there was no way that it was going to happen again. There was no way.
There wasn't.
And in fact, based on math and the world and the universe and how it's set up, it was going to be much, much, much worse.
22% worse?
To equal out to what it was all season. To get it in the middle. To get the average. And you know what? It was.
It's interesting. It's
So,
an interesting point.
You know, when you think about it, just at a basic level, math always wins.
So, in your point of view, basically the Gales shot all their bullets the day before.
Yeah.
And they should have divided it evenly.
Well, I don't think they could have.
You go
it's
out
not
with
a
the
thing
same mentality every day.
Exactly, but it's not a thing that you can just stop on Thursday so you can hit them on Friday. You know, it's not. You know, okay, we've hit 14 on Sunday night. Let's relax, and then we'll hit 6 on Monday. It's just one of those things where there's just no way it's going to happen again.
Well, Coach Kluse said that they had their shots.
They did?
They had the
22
looks.
of them.
They had the looks. They just didn't hit them.
5 of 22 from 3.
5 of 22. So what that tells us is that Manhattan did a good job playing defense, but Iona did not do a good job shooting. Because if your head coach is telling you, if Coach Kluse is saying we had the looks, but we couldn't convert, that means you were missing.
Right.
And if you looked and rewatched the game, I rewatched the game, Isaiah Williams had some air balls. Okay, his legs were giving out. Something was going on with him. He was fatigued.
You have to assume that
with his
foot
injury.
was probably hurting.
AJ had shots. Cedric had shots. They all had shots that they normally would have hit, and they missed them.
Yeah.
And at one point, when it was becoming very close to realizing the season was gone, they couldn't buy
They
a
just started
basket.
chucking them up.
They couldn't buy a basket.
And when you look at the turning point of the game, I think you have to burden, the load has to go on the shoulders right now, and it's unfortunate, but it has to go on the shoulders of Kelvin Amayo, who missed the dunk, which would have tied the game, I believe, or given the Gales a 1-point lead. I'm not sure. It was in mid-second half. It was when it was down in the nitty-gritty, and he missed the dunk. He came flying through. We've seen him hit that dunk 3 or 4 times over the course of the season. He missed it. It popped up in the air, and the next inbound, he turned it over. And then from there, it was all Manhattan on the way out.
That dunk changes everything.
Yeah.
If he dunks that
not
ball,
only does the crowd go wild,
the momentum swings in Iona's direction.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And it's hard to pin one play on this game because it was so large scale.
it's just one of those things you remember.
It is, and you're absolutely right. If Kelvin hits that, if Kelvin actually dunks that ball, it's a momentum change. Okay, it's a swing in Iona's favor, and he wasn't able to. And that was another example of basically just it not being the Gales' day. It just wasn't. They couldn't hit a shot. Defense-wise, Manhattan played very well on them, but still, all in all, we've seen AJ make contested shots before.
Right.
He made one against Siena a couple of days ago in the quarterfinal with 35 seconds left. He made a real difficult NBA range shot with somebody guarding him on the perimeter, and he was held to 10 points against Manhattan. Isaiah held to 7. David Lowry, the only person to break 24.
24 for him. And for somebody who hadn't been too impressive over the course of the entire tournament, it was nice to see him show up, but where was everybody else?
Where was everyone else? It was, to be honest, looking at the whole season and looking at how their games measured up, it really was a breakdown.
Yeah.
It was a one-game complete breakdown. It wasn't that they played to their potential and Manhattan just outplayed them. It was that
They didn't play well?
they didn't play. I don't believe they played well, and Manhattan took advantage of
Scored
it.
95 points the day before, and they scored 69 the next day.
And Manhattan scored 79.
Yeah, a beatable number.
And
For
Manhattan
an Iona team.
doesn't usually score that
Right.
many points.
Manhattan, what did they average? 66?
They
something
scored
like that?
65 points the day before.
Yeah.
65 to 48, I believe they beat in the semifinal.
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's. So
Who didn't belong there anyway.
yeah. So and looking at Manhattan's team, the one fear I have for them going forward to the tournament is, first of all, the optimism I have is they believe as much as any. They
That's
believe
true.
that they can win
And that-
more than anyone.
And that belongs to Coach Mazziello.
It does.
And I despise him as a gentleman. I do. I despise him as a coach, as a as a liar. It's just one of those sports morality things there where I get on my high horse.
So you must have felt as
The one where I don't belong on, but I get on there and I rally the troops anyway.
you must have felt as infuriated as I did
Oh,
when
of course.
when his student section was chanting his name.
Yep. Anyway, but you know what? He's somebody who really does believe in sports psychology. He's somebody who
Yes.
implements it on his team every season, and it shows. It shows because his team would do anything for him. And I love Coach Kluse, but Steve Mazziello is one of the greatest motivators behind a bench that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and just to finish my thought on saying what I fear most for that team moving forward is the fact that they may, and this is very much debunked all along the way, because you don't need a superstar or superstars to win. All you need is a team who plays together, and that's surely what they have, but on another level, I'll be honest, they don't have anybody who will wow you. And when you go into the tournament, you need a wower. You need somebody or a couple of players who have the capabilities of putting up 30. Iona did. They had A.J. English. They had David Lowry. Isaiah's been in those realms before. If you look on Manhattan side, Ashton Pankey, you know what? He's a dominant player, but he doesn't ring superstar to me.
Right.
Emi Andujar, dominant player, but doesn't, same thing. And you could hold me up here and say, listen, you're wrong, because you don't need those type of players to win, and they proved it. But all I'm saying is my fear moving forward is that a lot of these teams in the dance have those type of players that are superstar level and they play as a team. You know, it'll be truly an underdog story if they make it past the first game in,
And we'll
in
see
the dance.
where they get placed.
We will. So we'll await that selection Sunday. We may have some more cooking up here, not sure, but I'll talk to my co-host here. Will we be taking a break or going straight through? Want to go straight through?
You wanna? What are we at? What's the time here?
I don't know.
Do a little click.
We'll click here.
Yeah, let's
see if
see.
we can measure up.
Where are we at?
Take a commercial
We're
break.
at about 20, so we should probably take a break.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back here discussing maybe some Yankees Mets right here on Sports Talk Today with K&A.